At this time, I'm delighted to recognize the gentleman from Hawaii, Mr. Case. Mr. Case, you are now recognized.
Mr. Chair, Ranking Member, and members of the subcommittee, mahalo for the opportunity to testify before you today on critical needs for Hawaii agriculture. My Hawaii has been blessed with some of the most productive and diverse agriculture in the world throughout our history. From ancient taro through a century and a half of sugar and pineapple and into today's high-value macadamia nut, coffee, and tropical fruit and flower crops, as well as ranching, Hawaii agriculture has remained vibrant, a primary economic driver and the foundation of our rural communities. Yet Hawaii agriculture has its own challenges which require federal attention. For starters, invasive species, a major issue throughout our country, are especially acute in Hawaii where, because of our isolation and unique ecosystems, they have especially devastating effects requiring extraordinary prevention and mitigation actions, and the pace of new introductions and damage is accelerating. It is estimated that in just the past 15 years, 195 new invasive species have been introduced to Hawaii. This committee, and Congress have supported a range of federal invasive species programs that have materially helped address invasives in Hawaii, like fruit flies, coffee berry borer, macadamia felted coccyid, avocado lacebug, little red fire ant, and two-lined spittlebug. Furthermore, increased funding for the agricultural quarantine program has provided a critical first line of defense that prevents these additional invasives from reaching the continental United States. I asked this subcommittee to continue and enhance these programs. However, there is a vital need for new funding for a new particularly threatening invasive, coffee leaf rust. In October of 2020, coffee leaf rust was discovered on coffee plants on Maui Island and has since spread to most of the Hawaiian Islands. Farms can experience yield losses greater than 70% and lead to tree mortality throughout. This has the potential to wipe out the Hawaii coffee industry, which is one of our state's most significant agricultural exports, valued at more than 148 million when converted to roasted products. While USDA's efforts to control the spread of coffee leaf rust in Hawaii have been a necessary band-aid, longer-term agricultural research service funding for research into resistant varieties and management tools is critical for the viability of this iconic Hawaii industry. In addition, I asked for this subcommittee's continued support of Alaska Native and Native Hawaiian serving institutions whose funding has generally remained stagnant. In addition to 4-H and Future Farmers of America, grant programs for Alaska Native and Native Hawaiian serving institutions help schools like the University of Hawaii train the next generation of agricultural leaders from our indigenous communities. This is desperately needed in Hawaii, where the average age of a farmer is 60 years old. I lastly want to urge the subcommittee's continued support for specialty crops, especially tropical and subtropical crops. The tropical regions of the world are estimated to contain half of the species on Earth and have numerous opportunities for expansion. The tropical crops that we all love, like cacao, guava, mango, and taro, are being produced domestically in greater quantities, but can't receive research funding like other crops. They are hampered by limited local resources and limited access to national resources, and by a continued bias in our national policy and support towards the larger traditional crops. Tropical and subtropical research have been listed as a high priority research and extension area, but it appears that the National Institute of Food and Agriculture has lacked targeted funding to implement a tropical and subtropical research program as it has for other high priority areas. Given more exacerbated threats from climate change and increased risks from invasive species in these climates, tropical and subtropical research is more needed than ever. Targeted research funding in this space would help the small and minority farmers that drive this industry. The COVID-19 pandemic, and especially its effect on the tourism and hospitality industry, have affected most industries in Hawaii, including our farmers, who market extensively to both residents and visitors. While COVID-19 assistance from the USDA and SBA has been a vital lifeline for our farmers, we must continue to invest in domestic agriculture to help our agricultural producers bounce back and thrive. Thank you so much again for the opportunity to testify before you today and for your careful consideration of the needs of Hawaii agriculture. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Case. your highlight of the unique challenges that are facing the agriculture industry in Hawaii is an important example of how many producers around the country depend on strong USDA programs. We look forward to continuing to work with you to make sure that USDA has the resources that it needs in order to succeed. Mr. Fortenberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Case. I was very engaged by your testimony. I come from a big agricultural country where we have traditional crop production and livestock production, but we always consider agriculture to be a big family. And I think your particular emphasis on specialty crop production, as well as tropical and subtropical tropical crop production, is very insightful and a wanted opportunity to augment what we're doing in order to enhance opportunities not only where you live, but for the well-being of the entire nation. Unfortunately, I've never been able to see the problems that you noted up close. Perhaps Chairman Bishop has visited your district, but I've never been able to. That would be a wonderful opportunity should that ever arise as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and Ranking Member. And Ranking Member, we certainly invite you to come and take a look at a different side of the United States agriculture industry and community. We all need to support all of agriculture throughout our country. My part just happens to be a little bit different than what people are used to, but it's nonetheless needs a lot of attention.
Thank you, Mr. Case. We certainly would like to have the subcommittee come out and look firsthand at the wonderful things that you guys are doing out in Hawaii in agriculture. We appreciate your testimony very much, and without objection, your entire written testimony will be included in the record.
Thank you.